Hi guys. So today we're going to be learning about long division, and we're just going to be talking about why long division is easier, as well as some word problems. We're just going to go more in depth with that. All right. So this concept, long division, is recommended for kids in grade 3 or up. This in grade 3, you should be having like a basic kind of overview in your own classroom of long division, as well as an introduction to normal division. So it's everyone or anyone who needs it above the age of like 8 or 9. All right. So in this lesson, students will practice long division through a series of division problems, as well as word problems. So after you complete this lesson, you should be able to divide numbers using long division. You should also, for our word problems especially, you'll also be able to choose the most realistic solution. We'll go into realistic and non-realistic solutions for a problem, which do exist. And after that, we'll be understanding why we use long division instead of just like normal kind of picture kind of division. All right? So our first example, so long division is basically, so there are some certain steps for long division. So for example, in this example, you first need to set up your problem, which basically I did. So remember 68 right here, and then 2, put up this little signal, that means it's kind of like division, right? So I always set up your problem. Then right after that, you have to find the highest number that can go into the first digit of your dividend, right? So the highest number that can go in to 6 right now is 3, because 2 times 3 is 6. If you do 2 times 4, that's 8, which is higher than 6. So you need something lower or equal to. So if I did 2 times 2, 4. However, I can go a little bit more and put 3 and get a whole number. So after I find that highest number, I'm going to put it right over here. So 2 times 3 is 6. Then right after that, I need to subtract to see if there is a remainder. If there is, it's okay. We're just going to keep bringing down numbers. So once I do 2 times 3, 6, I subtract. I have 0, so no remainder, but I still got to bring down that other number right here, right? Then I have to repeat the steps, right? So I have to say 2 goes into 8 how many times? Is it 3? 6. But wait, you can go into 8 evenly by 4. So I put 4, 2 times 4 is 8. Then I do subtract this 8, right? And then once I do that, I have no more remainders in the end. Right? So subtract and repeat steps until you have 0. I have 0, right? Because 8 minus 8 is 0. And then here you go. I have my quotient as 34. So let's just go over this one more time. So remember, I set up my problem, right? Right after that, I found the highest number where that first digit of my divisor can go into my dividend, which is basically 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, right? Then I'd have to subtract to see if there is a remainder. In this case, there's not a remainder. I drop down that second digit, which is 8. Then I need to check to see how many times my divisor can go into the new number. So for this case, it's 4, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8, right? Then I need to subtract and repeat the steps until I have an overall remainder of 0, which I have, right? Okay, here's another example. We'll be going over the same thing. So right here, I'm just going to be using the steps that we talked about in this slide, basically. So here, we are just going to be talking about, so like right here, it's always important to set up your problem first. That's important. So same thing, I did that right here. I set up this problem in this kind of format. This is the format for long division, so that's important, right? So once you have that, the second step we have to do is find the highest number that can go into the first digit of your dividend. Okay. So the first number that can go, the highest number which can go into that first digit, so you have 4, right? However, that won't work because 4 is lower than my divisor right here. So I'll have to take these 2 digits as my first digit, basically. So once I do that, the highest number that 7 can go into 47, right, is 6. If I do 7, that's 49, which is too high. However, if I do 7 times 5, 35, that's too low. So 6 is that perfect kind of number right here. So I do 7, I put 6 right here, right? Then I multiply, put that number right here. Then the next step was to subtract to see if there's a remainder, right? So I'm going to do that right now. I subtracted, and I came up as 5 as my remainder right here, okay? So then what I do next is right after that, I'd have to drop that second digit or drop that other number basically. In this case, we used up these two first numbers, so we're going to drop down this 9. Once we drop down that 9, right, we have our new number is 59, where we're going to be repeating the steps until we have 0. Okay, so then I have 59, right? So 7 times what is the highest number that can go into 59? In this case, it's 8. 7 times 8, 56. I'm going to drop that number there, subtract, I have 3. So now, if I'm going to repeat my step, the next thing I have right here, I have nothing else to bring down. So what I got to do now, and I still have a remainder, so now that's a problem, right? However, this is a problem where there is a remainder, whereas this problem was evenly distributed, right? So this problem has a remainder because you can't bring anything down right now. So now the remainder is 3 right here. Okay? So remember, 68, remainder 3. That's how we write that whole answer. So that's important. And remember, these are just some basic steps right here. I did the same thing as my last problem. However, I just applied it. Okay? Because this problem had a remainder while the other one didn't. Alright? So remember, review of long division. You always need to divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. You can see right here. They first divided, right? 3, the highest number that 3 can go to 7 is 2, right? Then they multiplied, 6, a remainder of 1, right? Then you have to subtract, which they did. They got a 1. Finally, they need to bring down. So then they brought down the number, and they have a new number of 15, where they just need to repeat all these steps over again until they have 0, or until they can't bring down anymore, where you have a remainder in that case. So you can see in this problem, there was no remainder because they ended up with 0 in the end. Alright? Okay, so this is just some definitions. We are going to go over some basic vocabulary. So remember, divisor is an integer that can be wholly divided into another integer. Okay? So right here, the divisor is that number where you're trying to get it into that other bigger number. So in this case, the divisor is 8, right? Because you're trying to get 8 into this bigger number right here. So when 48 is divided by 8, 8 is the divisor. That leads us into dividend. So dividend is the number you are dividing up by the divisor, right? So remember, the last one was this number right here. The dividend is that number where the other number has to go into that number. So in this case, 4 has to go into the number 24. Therefore, 24 is the dividend, right? So when 24 is divided by 4, 4 is the divisor. So that's important to realize. All right? So 4 is the divisor. However, 24 is the dividend. So finally, we have the quotient, which is the result obtained by dividing one number by another. So quotient is just another word for the answer in a division problem. For example, if you had an addition problem, the answer would be called a sum. However, since this is division, the answer is called a quotient. So in this case, the quotient is 26, since it is the result, right? Result of dividing 312 by 12. So you can see right here, if we apply all three terms, we have 12 as the divisor, right? Because it's the number that has to go into this bigger number. Dividend is the number that needs to be where this... The dividend is the number with other numbers trying to get into this number, right? It's the kind of like the bigger number right here. And finally, we have the quotient, which is up this answer right here. Okay? So 3 basic terminology, which is crucial. Okay, so now we talked about long division, right? Like basic word problems, which can be easy. However, word problems is where students get tricked up, where I'm going to show you an easy strategy on how to deal with that and try to avoid or minimize your mistakes. So remember, there's always 3 steps that I want you guys to follow when doing a word problem. You need to be calm and you need to read carefully. Reading, if you don't read carefully, you will most likely make mistakes which you could have prevented just by reading the problem, right? So remember, first, read the problem out aloud if you can. However, I understand in a test, if you can't, that's fine, read it out in your head. But if you're alone, read the problem out aloud. Second, circle the number that represents the total number. Remember, total number is that dividend right here. Okay? And finally, the third step is to place a square over the number the total number needs to be divided by. Alright? So this is the divisor. This is the number that's going to go into that bigger number over there, all right? So remember, keep calm and read carefully. Okay, we're going to apply the same thing. So remember, first step, read the problem out aloud. We are going to follow that right now. Okay, so number 1. Elizabeth took 7 friends to a local farm to pick apples. They picked 42 apples in all. How many apples will each friend get if they decide to share them equally? All right, so we have a problem right here. There's a girl named Elizabeth, and she has 7, she has 7 friends. She took his 7 friends to a local farm to pick apples, right? So they went to this farm, they're all picking apples. However, at the end, they want their own apples. However, the problem is, since they picked it together, they need to decide how many apples will each friend get, all right? So we read the problem out loud, we analyzed it, and we're ready to continue, okay? The second step is to circle the number that represents the total number, or the dividend. So in this case, the total number we know is 42 apples, right? Because that's the amount that they all together combined picked. So that's the total number, and therefore they put a circle around it, right? So the second step, complete. And finally, we have the third step, which is to place a square over the number the total number needs to be divided by, so which is the divisor. Well, we know that 42 is the total amount, but how much are we dividing it by, right? How many people are there to be for the apples to be divided by, right? So in this case, we know that Elizabeth, herself included, she has 7 friends, all right? So therefore, you need to divide this 42 apples by the 7 friends, right? To see how many apples each friend get if they get them equally, all right? So the total number of apples in this problem is 42. We put a circle. Therefore, we're going to place a circle around the number 42. We got that. We're good. Okay? Finally, the total number of apples needed to be divided equally among 7 friends, right? So remember, that's a divisor. Therefore, we need to put a square around it, as that shows us what we need to divide by. So from these 2 basic steps, we're good to go, all right? So now since we actually did the problem, now we actually got to solve it, all right? So remember, total number divided by how many people we need to divide it by, right? So 42 divided by 7, this is basic. You don't really need long divisions, just some multiplication facts, division facts. So we know in this case, each friend will get 6 apples, all right? So that was just doing a basic word problem. All right, guys, this is more resources if you need more help. I strongly recommend you go check this out to get a more stronger base. And I feel like this is crucial to just developing your math skills, especially in the concept of long division. All right, guys? So remember a little bit about me. Hi, everyone. My name is Minnie Jatendra. I'm actually currently a sophomore at high school. I love playing tennis. I'm on the tennis team at school. And I also love tutoring students. That's been my passion for quite a bit amount of time right now. And that's just a little bit about me. So thank you for joining me today, and you'll be having more videos soon. All right, guys? Bye.